Okay. I'd like to call to order this work session on December 15th, 2021. Ms. Cottle.
Thank you so much for having this work session. We have been anticipating receiving a grant award from the state that is public health crisis funding that is meant to help our school systems with COVID expenses. So I'm sure we've had some conversations. You've heard me in other meetings perhaps talking about this. And what we will be doing with these funds is, one, we have, in order to get the funds, it's a deliverable. We have to hire a school liaison and then work with the schools to make sure that they've done their assessment, that they're doing the proper contact tracing, isolation, quarantine, but assist them with those things that they may need in order to do that well. As you know, so this is not about being an oversight as much as being assistance. Our primary goal is to get money directly to the schools, where we could use this for just testing or something else. And our goal when we said yes to this money is to provide relief to the schools for COVID. So if they need to hire additional staff and they can do it with the funding that they get, then they could do that. If they need supplies or they need to, put in some sort of other prevention measures, they could use it for that. So we want them to have some flexibility with that. So we've started the process. I meet with PAC shortly to talk about the job description and try to come up with something on that. I have reached out to the Chamber of Commerce, and Eric and his team have graciously offered to provide some help and direction with us in terms of how we figure out a good formula for the division of those funds to the school to ensure that they are equitable, that every school that participates gets some funding that is beneficial to them. And it's not just population based, in which case some of our schools that might have 100 or less would get pretty much nothing. So we want to make sure that everybody gets funding that's productive, but that we're also equitable in the share of those funds. So we've already started the process of how we can get this going. It is a deliverable grant. So there are 3 things that we have to meet, and we'll get those funds. We'll get a quarter of them with the contract signed and the liaison hired, or once we can give them the name of that person, we'll get a quarter of it. We get a half of it once all the schools have done their assessment and we are going. And then we'll get the last quarter of it once we've kind of are up and really going to that. So we got the contract yesterday. We knew that this was coming. We had signed a letter of an intent, and that's how we managed to get on council's agenda to just kind of be a placeholder until the award came through. And so it came in yesterday. And so what we would like is you to allow us to go ahead and sign this and get it in, and then bring it back to you at your next meeting to ratify, because it is a new grant. So I don't believe you can approve it during this work session, but we would love to be able to get it signed, get it into the state, get things moving along on, so we have a fully executed grant in January, hopefully have the job description back in January. We actually have a part-time employee that we think would be great to just move them into this position. So, we're ready to move forward if we get the grant and all those other pieces in place.
Thank you. And Mr. Cockrell, do we go ahead and have a motion for this, even though it's a new contract?
Yes, I would go ahead and have a motion.
Okay, Commissioner Givens.
Could you remind me how much this is for and what the name of it is?
Yeah, sorry about that. The total is $440,000. And we have an opportunity, if we do this well, to get funding for a second year. I will tell you that this grant award started, the award letter says it started in July, came yesterday, right? But we see that happen with a lot of things. So again, it's deliverable. We'll be able to carry those funds forward beyond that. The grant cycle was July through June, and that's because the federal grants, lots of our federal grants, they are preparedness grants run in that grant cycle. So I think that that's why it's stated that way. The name of it is, it's a cooperative agreement for emergency response, public health crisis response. I lovingly refer to it as my school grant. It is my school COVID grant. And the grant fund that we have named it is Crisis COAG Supplemental Workforce Grant.
Whoa, I don't think I got all that written down.
Yeah.
I was going to be very impressed if you had.
Yeah.
I move that we approve the crisis COAD COVID-19 school grant in the amount of $440,000, and that we also congratulate the health department on getting this.
There are some other health departments that said that they were not going to take these funds.
Oh my.
Yeah, I heard you say that last night. Yeah, I was shocked. Yeah. Is that sufficient, Mr. Cockrell, for the motion?
Yes, and we'll get it. Penny will get it on the January meeting, and we'll ratify it. So we'll make sure that any technical difficulty gets worked out then. But I think an approval now gives her the authorization to move forward with it.
Great. Yes, it would have really slowed things up if we hadn't been able to do this today. And since it just arrived yesterday at 3, it's lucky that we could handle it today. Is there any public comment on this item? And seeing none, Mr. Cockrell, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens,
Yes.
motion is approved 2-0.
Thank you very much. And thanks, Ms. Purdy, for processing this, and commissioners for processing this. And I will get the ratification agenda request in. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to do it. And if there is no other business for this work session, it is adjourned.